Pod Force One.
Thanks, buddy. That was a good long one.
There we go.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Pod Force One. We're going to be broadcasting on YouTube now and Facebook. So my partners on Pod Force One are Eric Elder and Buddy Bennett, with our special guest and our dear friend Kyle Thompson.
What's up, players?
Dr. Thompson to you.
That's the Dr. Feelgood. Something.
So this week we had, the fastest 2 minutes in sports, and Buddy Bennett happened to be credentialed. Show me your credential, buddy.
It's on the floor somewhere.
Oh, okay.
We can't. Someone might try to copy it next year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Buddy's
It's already made one.
credentialed all over Churchill Downs. So he's got a lot of insider information that most people don't get. He's
Will you
told.
sign my head?
Huh?
Will you sign my head?
Yeah.
I saw you on ABC. That's pretty awesome.
So we're going to ask Buddy a couple of questions, and
I may not know everything, but
right, yeah. Well, one thing
fake
he
it.
told us about that I looked for was the track, and Eric's going to talk about that a little bit, and then Buddy shared some pictures with us through the 3 days that were pretty cool insider stuff. So Eric, why don't you pop us off?
You know, we were talking about that the other day, and I started paying attention on the internet, and I realized there's a lot of things that people don't realize that goes on behind the scenes. And one of the things that you mentioned that was really interesting is you never see photographers when you're watching live, like when they're tracking around the track. You'll not, but you know that there are hundreds of photographers there. Can you tell us a little bit about why we don't see photographers in the live TV show?
well, I mean, I'll explain a little bit about what I do. I take some pictures on my iPhone. I'm an accomplished iPhone photographer.
We got those.
Yeah.
But there's roughly around, I think we had like 350 credentialed media this year.
All over the world.
Yeah, all over the world. And they had some Japanese, because of the Japanese horse this year. And if you think about it, I want to say out of that 350, maybe 25 were social media people that were doing stuff on their iPhones. Maybe another 25 that were TV people that, were shooting for somebody, live TV. But the majority of the people are still photographers. And they are the ones that you guys have no idea how hard these guys work. I mean, it's incredible. And so Churchill Downs basically does not have the manpower to monitor them, to manage them. So for a couple of decades, me and a buddy of mine and a couple of my boys are on staff now. We basically are told by Churchill and by NBC and by the authorities where these photographers can be on the track, where they can cross, where they can, where they have to sit, where they can't be standing in certain spots. If you look, there's a couple pictures on my Facebook that have got what we call remote cameras. And the remote cameras, if you go online, are the ones that shoot the upshot at the finish line. And those are done with real short lenses, and they're done obviously with Bluetooth remote. And those are set in the ground. There's no spikes in the ground, and they've got to be set 18 inches away from the outside rail.
So they're like just the camera's just sitting on the dirt.
They are sitting on the dirt, and
Wow.
yeah, well, they've got a plate under them.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's no spikes. There's no spikes under there. So,
So if they got hit, they would be flung somewhere.
yeah, because if a jockey takes a spill, you don't want to have a spike in the ground and a jockey rolling underneath there. It's for horse and jockey safety. So those are. I think we had 59 cameras under the ground, or not under the ground, under the rail for that finish line shot.
Oh, wow.
Looking this way, we had at least 200 that were probably 150 that were shooting on the outside rail, that were shooting the finish line shot, trying to get sovereignty coming across. And then another 50 that were even further around the outside of the track that are looking at the head-on shot, and they're shooting with 600s. So the shots that you're either going to see them typically from three angles. One angle is underneath the rail. The other one is right at the finish line or close to the finish line, and the other one is head-on shot. And we basically just manage those guys. They're typically most of these people have done it the same. I see the same people every year. They've done it. They shoot for the Blood Horse and Getty and Associated Press, but they're most of them are seasoned veterans, and most of them are, they're all trying to get an Eclipse Award.
Yeah.
They're all trying to get the shot that nobody's getting. And there's some great stuff on the internet right now. A friend of mine, Michael Clevenger, just posted some stuff earlier that is just fantastic. And if you think my pictures are good just because I'm there, no.
You're close.
I'm not even anywhere in the bar. These guys are good.
That one picture you sent us, where we can actually see you. I don't know if you guys can add it in later, but the picture of you, that horse looks like, I mean, it doesn't even look real. It's so
Right,
good.
it's lit.
I mean,
it's like there's a light
Well,
on it.
and the
doesn't
horse
There
is
is light
marbled.
on it.
And
Oh,
the-
there is a light on it.
Yes.
Okay.
and it's marbled because of the mud and everything
Yes.
else on it. It was just
Yeah.
amazing. And then, of course, I could see you and your boys behind it too, which is kind of cool.
You can see the tone and the definition in the horse.
100%.
And that horse, because Sovereignty did not run in the front, and that was very untypical of. I mean, I watched races there for 3 days. If you weren't in the top three, you weren't winning.
Yeah.
And so when they turned for home, I said, well, one
There's
of
your
these,
three.
there's the three, and I was wrong.
But the owner, when they interviewed him on NBC, he described exactly what that horse was going to do, and it did it.
Yeah,
Sitting in like 5th or 6th place, and then come up on the outside
Right.
yeah.
and.
And when I
covered
ask you
in
my
mud.
other question, I'm going to talk about that on the outside, because it's an interesting
It was
thing that I learned.
it was a good run.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rich strike run. Don't get me wrong. It was
202.
it was a
That's what it was.
fantastic
Yeah,
race.
202.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just the way he moved and
Rich Strike
Once you
was-
watch it on the replay,
right.
and if you saw the NBC interview
Yeah,
with the owner or whoever they were talking to,
yeah, it was.
he was pretty cool.
It was a great race, and everybody left safe.
Yeah.
All the horses left safe, all the jockeys left safe, all the cameramen left safe. Everybody left the track, and it was a good derby.
Yeah, we did get I did see a lot of comments online, not just yesterday, but today when, there were a lot of pictures and videos were coming out. Some folks who are not connected to the horse industry or know much about it, and they were saying things like, those poor horses. I mean, those conditions were terrible. You shouldn't have
That's
been
a
running
good
them.
segue into what I'm going to ask Buddy about.
Yeah, there we go.
One of the things I wanted to play this video, and you can probably
All right. Oh no, hitting me with video I haven't seen yet.
I am, but I'm hitting you with
First time
something
reaction.
that you know very well.
All right, let me see it.
Welcome to Frankie Lovato's 365 Days of Racing Terminology. This series is for you, the fans, and in support of Jockey World's mission to improve, promote, and provide more
Copyright
education,
Jockey World.
health,
I have
and
no
safety
idea who they
in
are.
the
This
world
is
of
a
horse
good
racing.
video. Plagiarism.
We're about to get hit with a copyright.
This is Frankie Lovato with today's term, number 269 of 365, sealed track.
There we go.
A sealed track is when the track maintenance crew will use steel hydraulic plates or pull weighted wooden floats to pack down and compress the track's cushion. This is a standard procedure that is done before it rains
That track
so the
might look
water can
familiar.
better roll off the track rather than flooding or creating pools of water or washouts. For tracks that have already been saturated,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
well,
stop
I'll
that right
tell
there.
you all about some of this stuff as we go on.
I'm gonna stop that right there because and just leave that image up for everyone to
right.
look at.
Well, that's probably an OSHA violation. So and that's Churchill. So you probably want to get that.
Oh, but
off.
we
That's
can.
30 years ago.
That's 30 years ago.
I didn't see
Statute
somebody
of limitations.
standing on it.
Well,
Vineyard
yeah.
Vines tractors.
Well, what Kyle was getting ready to say, and that I've noticed a lot after we talked about it. It's some things that you just take for granted. Everybody says it's terrible conditions, it's muddy, the horses are going to get hurt. That track, no. So explain to us why that soup of what we see there isn't what people think it is.
Well, I can tell you what they do. We knew before, we knew yesterday. I think Jamie, he's the track superintendent. He closed that track up yesterday, an hour and a half before the first rain came. And when I say he closed it, they have something similar to that now. It's not like that's like 1920s technology,
Right.
But now Churchill has a float that has hydraulics on it. Okay, and the hydraulics actually go into the back of the tractor, and they can press it down however hard they want to.
Right.
Now, it's like I don't know, 5 or 6. It's about 5 tractors wide, but they'll circle around. And what they do is when they float that track and they press everything down, it brings the water to the top. And that track is sloped from outside rail to inside rail, and then there's drains on the inside. So after a while, after that track is sealed, when that's what we call sealing the track.
And that's when it gets the shiny
Yes,
surface.
once it's sealed, that the water that gets there, it's harder underneath, and it's actually probably. It's just a different track. It's not as dangerous as people think it is. It's not like they're running in a suit, because you can walk across the track and you make little divots in it, but it's not deep. You know, when they harrow the track, you actually, it's harder to walk through
How
the track.
deep is that when they cultivate the track?
Well, that's called harrowing.
How was that? 6
It'll be
inches?
anywhere between 5 to 6 inches.
Okay.
But I mean, I think the proof of that it's safer or just as safe as running is the fact that you ran in 2 awful days of rain, and there weren't any horses that were injured.
And
at least
you
we
can-
know of.
Nobody went down.
You can kind of see here.
Tracks are also all
where
slightly
they're running
banked so
all
that
that
any
water, like
sitting
you're
water
saying, is
or
running
water
to
that
the
is squeezed
inside
out
of
by
the
the floats will drain under the inside.
You know how UK's baseball field and the football field can take like 11 inches an hour of rain?
Yeah.
Do they have drainage under the track, under the dirt itself, for the water that does go down?
No, it all goes to the inside and drains out. But it's
And the French drains on the inside, I believe.
yeah, and it's once again, Jamie closed that track up, and he never opened it up.
Did you tell us who Jamie? Did you say who Jamie?
Yeah, he's
was?
the track superintendent,
Okay.
and so he, once it was closed, and then that rain all we got all day yesterday, and at times after the floats would come by, you could actually see the rivers of water that was removing the water from the track. Now you think about this for a second. You're on a 2,000-pound animal traveling at 40 miles an hour around a bend. Okay, I mean, you're going around a bend and you're asking it to go, and it's still got its footing. So yeah, what a fantastic job he did to keep the track as good as it was yesterday.
Well, and when you watch him run in the rain, something that I noticed after, because we just had this conversation, and like I said, sometimes you just don't really think about it, and you take stuff for some knowledge for granted. But when they're running, you'll wonder why are they running middle of the track? Why are they running to the outside? It's not to get around. The jockeys are following the dark lines caused by the tractor tires, because those are compressed just a little bit more than where the hydraulics hit.
Yeah.
So they're just a little bit better.
So that's the physics of it.
The physics of it, yeah, because that section has a little bit more pressure on it.
And a lot of times there are horses that do not like the lead, and they do not like mud in their face. So instead of the donkey,
That's a paradox.
well, yeah.
If you don't like looking at a horse's butt, you're in trouble.
So on the backside, before they turn for home, that jock will take it from the if it's breaking from the inside, they'll break it fast from the inside, and then they'll take it out to the 5 spot and a 5 hole, five horses wide, and let everybody catch up. And so that horse is not catching mud. He just it just depends.
You can
They're
see
finicky.
The first 3 that led the longest were clean as a pin,
Yeah.
and everybody else was shiny muddy.
Yeah.
Well, the one horse, the horse in the one spot, it broke all the way to the. I mean, as soon as it got out of the gate, it went all the way to the 4 or 5 slot immediately, and then went back. I mean, if that horse had come in first, second, or third, that probably would have been some type of foul or official review or something of some kind, because that was a wild start for that for that
I
horse.
didn't catch that part.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
If I didn't see it, as long as it didn't impede somebody or if it didn't make contact or impede somebody. A lot of times the stewards will let a lot of stuff, unless it's at the start.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff in the middle of the race kind of, because you're jockeying for, no pun intended, you're jockeying for position.
Yeah.
But stuff down the stretch and I've seen some wild stuff too.
So
come home.
So I'm gonna fangirl here a little bit. There's a lot of things that streaming services do that question why they're doing it, but they released Race for the Crown on Netflix about a month before the Derby, and it was in the top 5 for the last month. And the way that they had that build up so that you knew all of the major players, even the people who didn't know who Jason Worth was, a baseball player for the Phillies, and people who didn't know who Mick Peake were, and all, but you got to meet some of these characters. Hypothetically speaking, in this series, then you got to see them on Derby Day. It was almost like, oh, I know that guy.
I wish I'd have seen that. That was
it was really great from the aspect of it was entertaining because these are larger than life humans. I mean, these are people who own multiple racehorses that are millions of dollars, and you get to meet these trainers, and a lot of them for us locally, these are. I got to see Mark Toothaker was in it multiple times. People who we know.
I saw pictures from Mark.
Yeah, from working on these farms and stuff that are local. So it's really great, and of course Kenny McPeak and Brad Cox, all people who are local folks here, and then you get to see them on TV. But then but the transfer of that into the very first week of Derby week, and you got to see all these folks. It seemed like, even with a little less excitement around Kentucky this year, I think because of the weather, I got that impression even from social media. But it seemed like it was bigger worldwide because of what Netflix did with that. So I thought it was actually very, very smart. It brought a lot of people into horse racing that may not have been horse racing fans because they got to meet these larger than life characters and things. So I thought.
Did you share a picture with Buff Bradley too?
I did on Thurby.
Yeah, on Thursday.
Thursday or Friday. It may have been Oaks Day.
Thursday.
Oaks Day.
Yeah.
One of the. I miss Buff running. I miss him training.
Yeah.
Because on maybe 2 or 3 occasions, he has won a major stakes race on Derby Day itself, with Groupie Doll.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always great when a local trainer.
Did Brass Hat win any stakes races at Churchill on Derby Day?
I don't know if Brass Hat did or not, but I think Groupie Doll did.
See, that's all I know about horse racing, Eric. those two horse names.
That's the extent of it. Right
Yeah.
there. That's your whole knowledge.
Well, speaking of famous horse names, I'd read that this was the first Derby that every horse running was a descendant of Secretariat.
Sired. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I know there's some controversy around that. I read some stuff by Kurt Becker.
Not necessarily sired, I don't guess.
That there's some controversy going on about that right now.
I've read it in a lot of places.
Well, if you pull up Kurt Becker, and Kurt Becker is the voice of Keeneland, and he doesn't really poo-poo it real hard. Well, okay, yeah, he poo-poos it.
Pretty good.
He just says, technically, he said, but when you're breeding, we're looking at 3-4 generations back, not stuff, not stuff that happened in 71. So technically,
right, and that's what I was going to say about it too.
20 generations.
Yeah,
could be as well. I mean, talking 3-year-old horses.
Yeah, I mean,
if you do the family tree, I mean, if Secretariat's gene pool is the largest gene pool in horse racing, you might be 164th. By the time it does it have any impact on genetics? No.
Like Alexander the Great.
If somebody could get the same size of heart that Secretariat had,
yeah,
true.
that. Did you know that, Craig?
No.
Secretary.
I didn't know he had a bigger heart than others.
1.5 times.
Half times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Grinch.
except in reverse.
The inverse.
But it
Grinch.
grew 5 times that day. Yeah.
Okay.
I will also say that just as a spinoff of that every president except for one has been a descendant of King John. Every single one
I read that
has
too.
been
King John II, wasn't it?
Yeah, whichever 1066, whichever. Magna Carta, King John, right?
Yeah.
If you follow the tree up,
We will all
Eventually.
eventually. yeah, we're all
related at some
somehow.
point.
Adam's got me way back there.
That's right.
5,000 generations.
But that's a bit. That was it. I mean, that's about.
Was that your most fun experiences?
Man, I tell you what, I'm going to the Preakness next week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They're tearing it down.
Are you flying up on a private jet?
Wish I was.
AOC can get you on one if you want. She's got one she's using regularly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to get excited about going to Baltimore.
It is.
You
It's
know,
like,
Watch where you go.
yeah,
but
exactly.
I've been there before, and I think like on Wednesday night or Thursday night, maybe Friday night, that the Twins are in town. But I'm not gonna go spend the
You're not
night
gonna- you're not
watching
gonna
the
go down
O's.
there. You're
And
not- yeah.
not for the Twins.
Yeah. Well, I just one last question about the little spinoff of that and talking about Jason Worth earlier. You are a Phillies fan.
Absolutely.
So you got to see Jason Worth, and I know you got to take a couple pictures with him. So tell me
did.
what that was like to meet Jason Worth.
Jason Worth is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I saw that picture.
He was
not
giving
to interrupt.
mohawks.
Well,
Yeah.
when I saw that picture, I thought, your buddy's a little bit taller than mine,
Right.
taller than I am, maybe an inch.
That dude
And then
has a-
Jason's behind you, like over top of you. It's like,
Dude had a large strike zone in the day.
yes,
Yeah.
Large
huge
strike
human being.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, I mean, and you know, and I've seen Jason's been in the horse business for 4 or 5 years, and I see him every year. He's in a box right there,
Yeah.
right by where we're standing, and then when he comes out, he's got a horse. We talk to each other just cordially, not
Right.
like not bro kind of stuff, but. He came out in that outfit that you saw him on, and I said, Jason, that is the bomb. And he says, thanks. I said, I got to get a selfie with you. He said, no problem, man. So you saw the selfie.
Yeah.
And then we did a high five, and then I looked at him and I go, Phillies forever. Because he ended his career with the Wash with the Nationals.
Nationals.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Did you tell him he was a big Philly fan?
oh, yeah.
Because
he
he
just
played-
kind of smiled.
He played for what? Phillies, Dodgers,
And
Blue Jays.
Eric's done some research.
Yeah.
And I did.
You have,
Yeah.
you have
Yeah,
four,
and
the
you have 4 or
Nationals.
5
He
3 home run
started out
games.
west. He started out west. And then he had the run at the Phillies, and then he ended with the Nationals.
You'll have to check out he plays a big role in the
Okay.
I'll have to
Chase
watch
for the
it.
Crown. Race for the
All
Crown.
right.
He
Got
can
him
party.
with a Subtle
Yeah,
ending.
man.
We're gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah.
This episode. We're gonna try to start doing a little more short form.
Just try it
And,
out and see how it works.
That way, people don't have to sit here and listen
Just
to
another short joke.
Craig.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I'm short.
You won't have to listen to Craig gab for an hour
Right, exactly.
because Kyle and I are pretty quiet.
Yeah, and I can be done talking.
All right, so we'll see you next time.
Can you get us out on that music and let me
can.
sing to it now?
Yeah, go ahead. Sing your.
Now listen, here we go. Here we go. So listen to kitchen.
Buddy theory.
Writing on the wall,
Yeah, they changed it just a bit to get the.
very superstitious.
like the Buddy G Funk
Light is
version.
about
It
to
is.
fall.
Oh,